thankful you're here. I'm going to introduce myself for those of you who are just getting to know me, so I'll tell you a little bit about who I am and why you're here. But before we do that, let's kind of get present in the room for just a minute. You feel that energy? Do you feel what it took to get here? All that alarm? My alarm went off early, your alarm went off early. So let's do that really quick. Let me pray over the room, and then we'll get your feet on the floor. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come before you. All that energy in this room, we just say, be still. We stop our brains, we stop our minds, and we just literally get quiet. And we literally just get fully open. We just take this second to just get quiet and open. And we fill this room with your beautiful atmosphere. Quiet our minds. Make our hearts beat, God. There we are. In your name, amen. You feel that difference? All I did was remind you of who you are. Anybody know what time it is? What time is it right now? Like, look at your watch or look at your phone. Like, somebody look at their phone. What time is it? 9:15. Okay, so it's 9:15. We're doing this. This helps. Trust me. This is what you're going to learn today. It's 9:15. You're in Temecula. Really, listen to what I'm saying. It's 9:15. You're in Temecula. You paid to come. You're sitting here. You're sitting next to people you care about. So we're just going to get mindful for just a minute, get in the room. You feel yourself kind of get back in the room? Okay, good. Okay. I'm Felicia Beth Durling. There's a lot of OGs in the room that still call me Felicia. I have been going by Beth for about, that's my middle name. I've been going by Beth for about, I don't know, maybe a year or so. I got really tired of everybody saying, bye, Felicia. Have you heard that? No, I'm not even kidding. I'm not kidding. Like, I was crying because every day, everywhere I would go. And then my daughter one day said, go by your middle name. So I was at Starbucks, and the chick said, what drink do you want, and what's your name? And I said, Beth. And I claimed it right there. And then I've got this new crew over this last year that's calling me Beth. So for those of you OGs that still call me Felicia, I'm very happy to have you. But that's kind of my new little thing. Did you know I blogged yesterday. I'll post it tonight or tomorrow. I blogged yesterday. You can change your name at 40. So welcome. You are sitting in this is kind of my first little gig, this kind of conference outside of the center. I am Felicia Durling. I'm the CEO and founder of the Center for Life Change. I'm going to have Andrea, our executive director, come up and just talk really quick about who we are there. I'm also a consultant. I've been consulting with large organizations, large healthcare companies. That's kind of what I've been doing this last year as Andrea's been running the center. I've been working with large billion-dollar companies in healthcare, in universities, and treatment centers all over, teaching them this type of connection skills that you're going to learn today. I have likely been on a mission since I was about 16 to see a couple things happen. I first wanted to see myself restored. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. I was beckoning God to keep me alive when I was younger. And after that, I had a mission for this valley to see families fully restored. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go too. But I'm here today in an effort to expand the work we've been doing. Andrea and I have worked, Andrea is my partner, we've been working on a dedicated mission to see families live the life that we believe God intended for them. And in order to do that, I had to get out of the building. So this is kind of me getting out of the building and writing a book. And this is the brand of the book that I have a heart to kind of distribute on a larger scale. So I'm so thankful for Andrea because she gives me that opportunity to do these types of things. So you really don't know how blessed I am that you're here. I'm so blessed that you're here because nothing's going to be the same after today. I really mean that. And I know I always say that's audacious, but nothing's going to be the same because what we teach, what we've been teaching at the center and now what I'm out in the community teaching, there is no one that doesn't leave impacted. So I'm so happy to have access to you. Like it's my deepest mission and my heart's desire to watch you be totally freed up. Do I love going into organizations and companies and all that? Sure. But when I get the opportunity to be in this valley with this community, I was that girl in this valley that God took and kept her alive when she shouldn't have been alive. So I'll give you a little bit of my story in a minute. So I'm in process. I have wanted to write a book since I was like 18, and I've got my proposal done. And for those of you that are familiar, who knew you don't just go write a book, you create a proposal. So I'm midstream in that, and this is the branding of that. So I've got a book that I'm proposing, and I'm so excited about that. It's called Said No One Ever, All the Things We Should Say But Don't. And the spirit of the work is radical connection. You're going to learn those skills today. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome because you've been brought here for a reason. And I cannot wait to hear what happens after you leave. So let's just make that all exponential and get it back into your families. Let me take a quick second to just thank a couple people. I've got Alex in the back. She's been a blessing in terms of all my tech. Andrea's been such a tremendous help. Who are the rest of my people? Kristen and Gina, where are you? They're still outside. And then where's Melissa? Is she here? Is she in here? If you see Melissa, she's the beautiful blonde, and she's got a salmon-colored shirt on. Melissa, let me tell you this really quick, and then we'll start. Melissa, I'm heading towards Sunrise Church in San Diego to do their women's conference, and Melissa and I were talking about it, and all of a sudden she said, and we can also do one ourselves. So Melissa is the girl, and Andrea's the girl, Amber's the girl, that I get to stand next to and say, oh my gosh, I have an idea, and then they help me implement it. So Melissa and I are 10 months into the making of today, and she is my heart of hearts and my blessing. So if it's one thing, so for those of you who are visionary people, it's one thing to have a vision. You need someone to stand next to you and help you implement that. So I'm super grateful for that. And then I've got my staff here. You guys raise your hand. From the center. I love all those people. Oh, hi, Kim, I didn't see you. So Andrea and Amber and all that. So thanks to you guys for coming too. Okay, you ready? Andrea, do you want to spend a quick second? Here, come up here really quick. Andrea is our executive director at the center. She runs our treatment center, and maybe you can, I told her I'd prompt her with a question. Maybe you can tell everybody how we met and how we're here.
Hi. So many of you, I know, from just having access to you or a family member, and it's so neat to see you all these years. We've got years that we've been doing this, and just to see that what Felicia is here to talk about today, which is that connection, it works. You are all still connected to us in some way. That's our heart of hearts at the end of the day at the center. And that's what we're still trying to do every single day, every one of our staff, with every one of our clients or family members that walk in the door. It wasn't always like that for me. I had to learn how to seek connection. And it was through a pretty perilous story with my own sons and their addiction. My husband and I were literally losing our minds and our lives to worry over our kids, and we were desperate for help. We were blessed to find this one that has taught us skills that now have not only created something different with our kids, even still now, these adult men that we're still very much involved in their lives and in their girls' lives and their kids' lives, we still are figuring out how to work through conflict and how to stay connected through conflict. So these skills we're using every single day. So launching off that, Felicia and I came together knowing that there was a whole valley, not to mention communities beyond the borders of where we live here that could use this. And that's where we're hoping to be able to keep doing what we're doing, and that is accessing families locally and beyond to provide the services at the center for addiction, mental health. We provide individual treatment or individual counseling now. We provide family support. So we still provide a lot of stuff based on exactly what Felicia's going to teach you guys about. So that's it.
Let me set the stage of what we're going to do today. Raise your hand if you've been in any kind of workshop with me or conference or... Okay, I'm so glad. As you guys know, this is a very interactive process. Don't be afraid that this goes until 4:45, like literally. If somebody said to me, do you want to go to this thing, and it goes all day long, I would literally have a panic attack and possibly need meds because I can't sit that long. But this is interactive. You're going to feel, I promise, you're going to feel like it goes quick. We're going to do this together. What I know is that you're going to hear things today that you've never heard before, I promise. There's not a time that I'm speaking that I literally don't have someone raise their hand and say, I've never heard this before. I feel like there's revelation in what we're going to do today. What I need a couple things from you, because we're going to be in a reciprocal relationship, which means I'm going to do some stuff and then you're going to do some stuff. I'm going to talk and you're going to talk. We're going to do it together. But I need you to be open-minded. I also need you to not be afraid when somebody raises their hand and says, that would never work in my family. I hear that every day. Andrea hears that every day. And I promise you it will. I'm that confident in the work and the things that we do that this will work. You'll be changed. Your family will be changed. Your church will be changed. Everything will be changed. I'm used to there being a defensiveness in the room. Defensiveness in the room means we're kind of breaking and it gets scary, and that's okay. That make sense? So don't be afraid for me. Normally I get talked to afterward like, oh, I'm so sorry, my friend, blah, blah, blah. It's okay. That means that we're doing some really good work together. So that's what I need. I need you to be open-minded. I need you to not be afraid. I need you to be honest. And if you're feeling like this is coming up against something, we can talk through that. We're going to do two things today. We're going to investigate what you need to live. So this is a broad stroke. Bottom line is, what do you need? We're going to talk about that. And the second piece is I'm going to teach you how to get it. And I want you to already know what you need. I already do. I already know the answer to the question I'm asking you. Don't you hate when people do that? I already know. A lot of you who have done work with me, you already know too. But some of you may think you know what you need, but I'm going to teach you how to even get a further concept of what you need. And then secondly, I'm going to give you the skills the second half of the day. If you feel like you got enough in the beginning, I'm just encouraging you for your sake to stay for the second half, because we're literally going to get the practical skills. I've had so many people say, oh, I wish I had a card with the skills on it. I made a card, just so you know. I've got a card with finally, 10 years later, I finally made the card with all the sentences on it that you can keep with you, keep it in your bag, keep it in your console, that are gold and revelation and anointed and powerful and totally changing, okay? So you gotta like eat lunch and then stay. And if you can't, if you have to go, I'll give you the card, but. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. So good. Because I think the question was, I'm supposed to reiterate the question for the film. The question was, what if my significant other is not here? Are you kidding me? There's what you're going to learn today, no one needs to be here, just to let you know, because the skills I'm going to teach you in how to communicate with those you care about to create a lasting connection, you don't need to have anybody even know that you've been here all day. It's magic, everybody. I mean that. I really do. It's magic to be able to actually access something that you can have in your pocket that becomes who you are each day, every day, that you can use with those you care about that will change the course of your life because your connection will be changed. So to go back just a little bit, one of the things that I ended up specializing in, I think Melissa and I were trying to figure out, like, what are you? Are you a coach? Remember that? Are you a relationship coach? Are you a speaker? Are you an author? Well, you haven't actually written the book yet. The other day, my boyfriend goes, like, what do you do when people say, like, you're an author? I'm like, I'm heading there. I'm claiming it in Jesus' name. But I'm a blogger. I guess I can say that. But we, what was I saying before that? Andrew's like, don't point at me. What was I saying? Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm going to go to Tammy. Andrew said, don't just point at me out of the blue. Something happened in the course of my work with families at the treatment center where I recognized there's a way we do what we do. The way we communicate is unmatched. So I ended up literally walking through these last 7 years as a communication specialist. So you're going to today learn the skills in how to take the strategies of the radical connection into your families and into your home. No one needs to even be aware that you're doing it. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. Imagine never arguing again. Imagine. I want you to think about that just for a moment. I want you to think for a moment what it would actually be like. I'm not just saying this. I really mean it with everything I have. Imagine never arguing again. Imagine having relationships in your life where the type of conflict I'm confident you've been sitting in literally evaporates. Imagine for a moment your relationships being so enhanced that you have this sense about you where emptiness, loneliness, abandonment, those terrifying types of feelings, when we feel utterly disconnected, literally go away. Can you imagine that for a moment? Do you have relationships in your life right now where you feel a sense of connection like no other? Can you find that somewhere in your life where you're around that one person, maybe, where you feel a type of connection that if you could only bottle that up and distribute it everywhere you go, do you have that right now? Or do you live a life where there's this type of emptiness and loneliness and fear that seems to kind of feel like a chronic ache? Imagine never arguing again. I mean, can you give me a little bit of feedback? Imagine that life. Hard to imagine. Why do you think? Why hard to imagine? The comment was because there's conflict. Okay. I wish I had a whiteboard. Because people defend their ego. Children. Triggers that set you off. What else? I want you to stop and think just for a moment. I want you to think about the last time where you had that feeling inside of you, I can't believe I'm here again. I can't believe I'm feeling this feeling again. You were in some sense of a conflict, and I can't believe I'm feeling this feeling again. What's the feeling? Despair? Fear? Sure. Desperation? Anger? Not understood. That's a good one, Brandy. So let's take that a little bit deeper. So not understood then leaves me feeling what? Lonely. Did you say that, Paula? Lonely? Helpless? disappointed, failure. Ooh, panicked. Powerless and confused. Would you agree that next year, whiteboard? Oh, she's on it. She's so good. That's Melissa. She does what I'm wishing. All those words. Imagine I wrote those up on a whiteboard. All those words. What is the thing? Can you try to go? I would draw those words, and then I draw a line underneath it. What would be the thing that I was ultimately needing underneath that? You follow? Okay. Right? It's like, okay, we're good. High five, everybody, you figured it out. Imagine the idea that if we're ultimately connected, that those things go away. Imagine if conflict equals connection, then all those feelings of terrified, panic, despair, no power, all those things that we said actually and literally evaporate. Imagine that. Imagine if I can be triggered, move into connection, and all of a sudden I feel closer now because my conflict equals connection. Can you picture that? Have you ever, I'm sure you have. Let me say that different. Think about all those times where there's a conflict, you argue, you get it all out of your system, and then you get reconnected, and that feels so good. And some of us are actually addicted to that process anyway. You know what I'm talking about? Like, oh, now we get to make up, and I got it all out of my system, and I threw it all over you, and you threw it all over me, and now we still love each other, and we high five, and now we're close. Imagine avoiding the madness in the middle. We're going to learn today how to avoid that thing in the middle. I'm doing that. I'm avoiding the thing in the middle. What it requires is a tremendous amount of work. I'm not going to candy code any of it. In order to do the things that we're going to talk about today, it takes tremendous insight and tremendous work. The skills are not hard, but it sure takes a type of courageous person. If you're so tired of the thing in the middle, are you following? Is everybody with me? If you're so tired of the thing in the middle, the return on investment in having a will and an endurance about you to practice the skills we're going to learn today will come back tenfold. And all of a sudden, days are filled with joy, and we do get to walk out the life that God intended for us. I don't think He intended for us to be in chronic pain. I've been after that for frickin' 20 years. I would look at God and say, there's no way, if I know who you are, there's no way this is what you anticipated. It should not be a life of endurance. It should be a life of joy. I thought you said that. So I'm going to call you on it. And all of a sudden, there was some sense of revelation through my own recovery of some skills that actually avoid the thing in the middle. Following? Hopeful, a little bit? Hoping. I know, we said that at the same time. Hopefully. When I was 14, I took a shit ton of pills and laid on my bed, 14, 15, somewhere in there, here. I was a Linfield grad. And laid on my bed and really was hopeful that I wouldn't wake up. And I don't know how much time had passed, but I stumbled to the bathroom and ended up waking up and was, hear my voice go there? That's PTSD. Woke up and was gloriously involved in a school that actually cared about my existence. I was at a private school, and I was a softball player. The challenges in my life that have brought me to this place were spurred on by two softball coaches. They were not psychologists, they were not therapists, they were nothing more than people who actually made me feel like I mattered. That's it. All they did was make themselves present and available and in essence journeyed with me and helped me feel that maybe there's a sense that because I matter, I can continue to exist. I'm going to say that again. they made me feel like since I matter, maybe there's a chance that I can exist. And this concept of connection was birthed in my high school years. These two coaches being connected to me as an adolescent and knowing just some sparse details about the struggles that were going on in my home, and them standing next to me and them locking into me gave me the ability to literally stay alive. When we are connected, we stay alive. So I want you to imagine for a moment, let's shift this into you just for a second before we move on. I want you to imagine just for a moment the idea of getting that type of connection even within yourself. You see the difference? When we're sitting here in this chair and we're thinking about how I can connect adequately and beautifully and strategically with other people around me so that I can get a great return and feel this sense of beauty in life. I want you to just pause just for a minute and let's put everyone else aside. When I was 14, 15, all the way into my early 20s, I was connected to my coaches. And then I had to learn how to be connected to myself. All the things I learned from them, I then went into my own recovery to learn how to then be connected to myself. The things that we're going to learn today will be so multifaceted. It's kind of even hard to convey sometimes because the things that we'll be talking about today and the skill sets, you'll not only use with those you care about, the language, your language will shift, a connective type of language that we'll talk about, but I'm really hopeful and believing for you that it's the type of language that you're going to use on yourself as well. God forbid we continue to live this rattling life in our minds where we're so disconnected from ourselves that kind of don't even, that's why I try to get you present in the room, because we don't even know where we are or what day it is. We're in a culture that's moving pretty fast. So first I had these coaches that stood by me, and then I went into recovery to get connected to myself so I could continue to stay alive. So let me pose it to you. We answered this question a little bit. I think we came to a consensus that the ultimate thing that we need is we need to be connected. Let's process that just a little bit. For those of you who have been doing this type of work and who have attended other seminars like this, can you walk me through that process for you on how that kind of changed your story when you started recognizing the depth of connection in your relationships? Anybody have any thoughts on that? I'm hearing Kristen say it's freedom giving. You hear that? That was a real main point I heard, that when we are consciously in awareness to bring connection into our relationships, what it gives the other person is complete freedom. That's powerful. The opportunity to progress. That's a type of consciousness. Are you following that? When we're consciously allowing the relationship to move towards connection, it allows the opportunity for progression of the relationship. I really heard something that Kim said about the energy that it takes to be in conflict. I mean, can't you feel that? I hate it. And especially having this type of awareness inside of me, when those types of conflicts come in that are challenging to resolve, I would give anything because that type of pain is so unbearable. And I love the way you put that, the energy it takes to stay in conflict. It's just death. The energy that it takes to stay in conflict is just death. Would you agree with that? Took years off my life. I'm getting them back. I really am. I really am. You hear that theme? That's a little bit of a theme. Judy was saying, secondary to what Kim said, is that just it allows people the opportunity to be who they are. The second half of the day will be the technique on how to do what we're discussing. And the technique, I call it the umbrella technique, and it's got an ABC component, which is allow, become, and connect. And I'm going to walk you through that process. I'm going to walk you through how to do what we're talking about right now, how to allow yourself, and I'm not going to give any of it away because I do that, but how to allow the process, how to become what you need to become, and then how to actually connect using strategic language. See, we spend so much time learning about our vocation, how to exercise, how to eat right. We're online hours and hours. My kid, you name it, he can like fix a dishwasher at 19 because he YouTubes it. I mean, you can learn anything, but are we learning how to never argue again? I want that. I think you do too. When I was thinking about the actual concept, when I was thinking about what's the outcome of this whole model we do, this is a model, this is a language, this is a life. We become this, and it takes time. I think a lot of you are here again because it just takes time to gain these skills. Because every part of us changes. We become this. We become let me think how to put it. We become, what did you call it? Miyagi? Well, I've had different people say it's like ninja, it's like Miyagi. It's just matrix. It's coming in a different direction towards the main goal. And what's the main goal is to be connected, because if we're connected, we make it. It really is. It's super fun to change the game. And that's all we're doing here is we're like changing the game. And then I can't express enough. I'm here because it's so contagious to avoid the middle, that middle thing that's out to destroy. You follow? When I say the middle, that's going to be that thing we talked about. All that pain. Let's hop over that. And conflict will arise, right? Disagreements will arise, but imagine staying connected every single time. We're going to shift gears just a little bit. Let me read this quote to you. All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. Blaise Pascal was a mathematician and then a psychologist in the 50s. And I want to shift gears just a little bit, and this is a new concept to anything for those of you who have been working with me have encountered in the past. This is a work that I've done this last year to really learn how to quiet my mind. I didn't know that my mind was full of utter madness. I really didn't. I thought that was normal. I didn't know that the activity that was happening inside of my head all day, every day, the constant chatter, you following? You're like, no, you're the only one that has that. Good to know. I didn't know that all the activity that was happening inside of my head, that I had manageability around that. So I was recognizing that in order to do this work, one of the things I wanted to kind of foundation for you was this idea of how do we actually get our minds quiet. I mean, how do you respond to that quote by Pascal that talks about being alone? How do you do when you're alone? What is your mind saying? What are you hearing? The possibility that there's always something happening in there that's not necessarily on your side. In order, like Jill's saying, I'm starting here, this is our first point. In order to do the things we're going to learn today, I do need you to learn how to quiet your mind. And I'm posing an idea that maybe the things that are happening inside your mind are not always telling you the truth. I'm going to say that again. In order to do the work that we're going to do today, I'm going to ask you to learn how to quiet your mind. Can you pray and do that? Sure. I don't care how you do it. And Derek brought up a point about meditation. I've tried that. I spent a lot of months just trying to, I would Google like how to meditate and put the music on and sit for 5 minutes and like really try to quiet. I tried it all. I don't care how you do it. Like Google it. It's not complicated. There's a lot of books and a lot of strategies on how to, we're not going to do that today. That might be February. But in order to do the things that I need, that I'm so hopeful you'll do so that you can be freed up and all that emptiness and pain in that middle goes away, the first thing I need you to learn is how to quiet your mind. So I'm posing an idea to you. I will today not be directing you at all. I'm literally, and that's part of our model, I'm just posing an idea. I'm posing ideas to you that there's a possibility that learning to quiet your mind, however you end up doing it, will give you, how can I explain that? It'll give you like the keys. If you want the keys, if you want easy access, let's put it that way. Keys give you easy access, right? Like I don't have to break the door down. If you want easy access to connect in your relationships, the first thing that I'm recommending to you is learning how to quiet your mind. Why do you think that is? Listening. If my mind is quiet, I want you to think you're on a horse, right? And the horse, is it a horse? Well, no, sometimes I get a picture. Everybody that knows me is like, oh no. No, not a horse, like a carriage with a horse. What's that called? Like a stagecoach thing? Imagine I'm on that and I have the reins, but I don't anymore. I've got a mind that goes, it just goes. I wake up and it's going like this all day long. But imagine I jump down. Can you picture that? I'm like a stunt woman. I jump down and I grab those reins. And now what? I've got all manageability, all control. If my mind is quiet and all of a sudden I'm triggered, but I've got the reins, what reins do I have? Over myself. Do I have the reins over you? No, never. Do I have the reins over myself? Always. Do you picture that? Trigger, conflict, I jump off that stagecoach and I grab those reins. And now I get to decide if I want to slow down, stop, which way I want to go. But imagine if I don't. Imagine I'm in conflict and that thing's just, what's going to happen? I'm going to end up in a ditch. Will someone come by and pick me up? Yeah. But that's that story, right? That's what we just talked about. Conflict, trigger, madness, and then I get rescued. Or I don't. That's us quieting our mind. In our technique this afternoon, in the allow section, I'm going to teach you how to do that. I'll give a little bit of strategy in how we get conscious enough and aware, kind of like Jill was saying. In order to quiet your mind, we have to get conscious. Think about how I started the day out. It felt a little uncomfortable, didn't it? When I didn't even introduce myself and I said, all right, everybody, like I grabbed all the reins. You picture that? I grabbed all your reins. And I pulled them tight, and we got quiet. And we got present. I'm going to teach you something this afternoon that I call an indicator. And your I don't want to get too far ahead, but the indicator is the thing that we recognize in our body when I'm triggered. And if I can recognize the thing in my body when I'm triggered, then I go into action. And all of a sudden, I'm in a different story. Everybody follow that? I'm going to teach you how to articulate in your body when you're triggered, so that now you're leading instead of walking out an old story over and over and over and over. What the spirit of what Gina's saying is that when we quiet our mind, we can fairly evaluate if we're hearing the truth. Your quiet mind will give you the opportunity to get out of what I call the movie. I've had some new revelation that Melissa and I have been talking about this last week that is so significant in terms of recognizing it's not you, it's I don't do it like you. Don't you wish I did it like you? Do you follow that? How many times do we say or think, you're not like me? Dear God, what if it's I'm not like you? I want you to think about that for a second. You can take that so far. Did you catch that? Okay. Let me thread it from what Gina said. Gina's bringing up the point that maybe there's a chance that if we quiet our mind, we have a fair evaluation that if what we're hearing inside of us is even true or not. Do you want me to say that again? You need it one more time? Rosa's like, yes. Okay, when our minds, let's go slow. When our minds are quiet, we get conscious, right? Is that a fair leap? When there's consciousness when we're walking in consciousness, I'm aware, I know where I'm standing, what I'm doing. I am not in a movie anymore. You ever feel like you're in a movie? Kristen, yes. When you get conscious, you step out of the movie. You get to choose. Follow? I think that's so significant. If you leave with that, it's plenty. So when we get conscious, we step out of the movie. All of a sudden, I have a fair evaluation of what I'm feeling or thinking, if it's accurate or not. I'm here to tell you it may not be accurate. And if it's not accurate, maybe I'm going to take you to the next step, and then we'll keep moving because I know this is super complex. If it's not accurate, maybe there's a chance that it's not you, but it's me. How many times do we live feeling, how many times have I heard, she's bipolar, he's a narcissist, we broke up because of this, and he, she. Maybe not. Maybe you. Just posing an idea. Remember what I said, it can get tricky. But posing the idea that maybe there's a chance that we have the opportunity to recognize that if we step out of the movie, maybe it's me and not you. Because I've got reins on me. Yeah, I know. I'm posing an idea, and I know it's super controversial. I'm posing an idea that maybe I'm not like you. The question was, what does that even mean? Getting your mind quiet. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I only know for me. And I know for, thousands of families that we've worked with over the last, for my career, like 20 years. But I can tell you about me, and then you can tell me about you. For me, it's literally loud and active. And it's a liar. And I'm in a movie. I mean, I can literally just talk to you about me. And I'm reacting story after story after story in order to remedy old wounds. And if I get conscious and quiet, I step out of that movie, then I get to choose. And I love when I get to choose because then I get to walk out the life God intended for me. And I'm not going to go clinical today. I'll say 2 sentences that our minds are clinically, we have neurotransmissions that wrap around the same thought all day, every day, same story all day, every day. We're reliving the same thing all day, every day. And when I asked you to look at your watch, like John said, it literally changes the neurotransmission in your mind. We're going to learn how to do that this afternoon, like how to actually do that work. No. I want you to, everybody with your hand up, keep your thought. I want to say one thing. Make sure you have it. I'm believing in this room, all of your minds are going to be changed. I want you to receive that. I'm believing that every single one of you in this room, your minds are you're going to supernaturally get some quiet. Just because you've been now introduced to the awareness that your mind can be quiet. I don't even know if some of you knew. I didn't till this last year. I don't even know if some of you know that your mind has control over you. You following? And just the awareness, I wrote at the bottom here, oh no, it's on, I don't know where it is. Oh, it's on, I don't know. It's on the next slide. If you leave with that, if you leave with the awareness and the consciousness of what's happening inside of you, I'm happy. Because it is such a freaking great start to just get aware of what's happening in here. Oh my gosh, and then you start grabbing the reins. Those first moments, it makes me tear up. Those first moments this last year, this is a new piece to this curriculum. When I started to recognize what that felt like when my mind got quiet, who knew? I knew it. I didn't know exactly that. But I remember when I started asking God, like, you told me you'd heal in total and in fullness. I didn't know it was that. That's why I'm here, because it's so good. It's so good when that gets quiet. And then you talk about manageability. When you're in a moment of conflict and you're quiet, just wait. Just wait. Just wait to who you are in that moment. Just wait to the power you have in your deepest pain. Everything changes, and that's the starting point. And see, what I love about what Rosa said was confirming the idea of if I find myself in the same spot over and over again, the opportunity to look at myself. Thank God. I can't change you, but I sure as hell can change me. I mean, I don't want it to be you. I want it to be me, because that I can change. That's joy. That's utter freedom and restoration when we recognize I have such control and manageability over this feeling, this conflict, this idea. I mean, that's our freedom. So there's no shame in, I keep finding myself in this spot. Thank God, because I got manageability now. I got the reins. One of the things I recognized before we move on to the next slide, this will be the last point here. And one of the sentences that's been changing families, I would say nationwide. When families were doing this work and getting conscious, they were always, let me say that different. They were recognizing that actually in that moment, and kind of like Derek was saying, nothing's even happening. You ever have this feeling that it's all spinning and all turning and you're in that same movie over and over again? I'm hoping you've had this moment, but if you haven't, you'll leave with it now. But all of a sudden, you'll be sitting there in conflict, and with your new awareness, when you jump off that, what's it called? Thank you. When you jump off the stagecoach and grab those reins, it'll be the most amazing thing because you step out of the movie, and I promise you, you'll look around and recognize nothing's even happening. Just try it. You all look a little like a little shocked. You'll be surprised that what we think is happening so many times is not even happening. And you look around and you're just sitting with someone who really wants to love you and you really want to love them. And kind of what Kristen was saying, so nothing that we're discussing today I find to be natural or intuitive. I call this work counterintuitive. What's intuitive is to go in and remedy my pain. What's counterintuitive is to jump off and grab the reins and get conscious so I have a choice. What's intuitive is to jump in and remedy my pain. You follow? It's intuitive to always try to remedy the thing inside of me that's in conflict. What's counterintuitive is to get conscious, step out of the movie, and have a choice. Take your intuition. Oh no, I'm triggered. Yeah, hell yeah. I'm always triggered. I'm just going to step out of the movie and respond with consciousness so that I get connected so I win. I'm going to say that again. I'm always triggered. I'm just a person. But instead of being in an old story over and over again with that middle madness, I'm going to step out of the movie, I'm going to get conscious and have choice. And my choice is always to get connected, always, always. We're going to talk about that this afternoon. Always get connected because I always win there. What should I do? Do you guys want a break? Do you want to take a 10-minute break? Okay, I'm going to pause. Keep your thoughts, and then we'll come back. Okay, 10-minute break.